This is pre-algebra lesson 11.2, the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to show you something, okay? I'm going to show you something. If I have this, okay, what kind of a triangle is that, by the way?
Right triangle.
A right triangle. What else is it? It's a right isosceles triangle. Okay, whatever. But it's a right triangle. Here's the rule, okay? I'm going to show you what's going to happen here, okay? How long is this right here? How long is that?
3.
3, right? That's 3. And how long is this?
Oh, 4.
4. And so then how do you know how long this one is? Well, that one you can't do it, right? Because it's it's in an angle. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't tell. And so the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, that is the Pythagorean theorem. Everybody say it out loud. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Together. It's right now. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Say it again.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Kind of the easiest formula ever, right? So here's the deal. Here's how it works. We know that's 3 because we're looking at it. Do you agree? I mean, we know that's 3 because there's 3 boxes. We can see it. And we know this is 4 because there's 4 boxes. You could see it. Agree?
Yes.
If I took this and I squared it. What is 3 squared, by the way?
9.
9. So look here. Let's do this. I'm going to take this. And do you agree that this is now 3 squared? Because this is 3 here, right? And this is 3 here. So it's 3 by 3, which makes it 9. Agreed? Okay. And if I took this 4 here and I squared 4, how much is this area again?
9.
9. That's 9. And what is this area here again? This is 16. So listen, here's the deal about right triangles. So we'll come back to this in a second. That means that this last guy here in blue, the rule is this. Let me show you something really quick. I'm going to put this in purple. Okay, so there is my right angle. Agreed? Okay. One of the sides on the right angle that create the right angle is called a, do you know what it's called? It's called a leg. Okay, that's called a leg. That's a leg, and this is a leg. The two sides that make up the right angle are the legs. The side that is opposite, is called the hypotenuse of the right triangle. Everybody say hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse.
Not hippopotamus. Hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse.
Say hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse.
Someone's going to say hippopotamus. The two sides that make the right angle are called legs. The opposite side of this, right? The opposite side is the hypotenuse. Okay? These right here, A is one leg, B is another leg, and C is the hypotenuse. That's the formula. A is a leg, B is a leg, C is the hypotenuse. So here's the deal. If A squared, that's a leg, that is 9, and B squared is 14, right? So 9 plus 4, not 14, 16. What is 9 plus 16? 25. So listen, here's the deal. So it's 25 equals C squared. Now we'll come back to this, but here's the deal. Look. If this is C here, and this 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, C squared is, if A squared is 9, B squared is 16, C squared is, it's telling us, C squared is 25. Does that make sense? That's the truth. And now you go, okay, well, hold on then. What are the legs here? Not the legs, but what are the lengths here of here and here? What number times itself makes 25? 5, right? So then if this is 5 and this is 5, what is C then? What's this length? 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to show you that model every time, but that's the gist of it. Okay? That's the gist. I'll show you the model one more time. Okay? Here's the model again. I need to draw this much nicer. Okay, we're going to go like that, we're going to go like that, and we'll go like that. Now, I'm going to give you the sides. This here is 5. This is 12. And this one I'm going to put as x, meaning that I want to know what that side is. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're watching. I just want you to watch this time. Here is what is the Pythagorean theorem again?
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Awesome. And what is A? A is a leg. What's a leg? Which one of those is a leg?
5.
Or 12, right? I could make that be A, or that could be A, and then B is the other one, right? The two legs. A and B are the legs. Even if I draw it like this, right? Even if I draw it like this, even if I draw it like this, and right? Leg, leg, because they make up the right angle. Does that make sense? It's not always the bottom left. It's the whatever is the two sides that make up the right angle. They're the legs. Okay. So here's the deal. Let's look at this. Let's do this again. How much is that side? Well, what is the area of here? A squared, in other words, is?
9.
I've given you the number there. I'm saying it's 5.
Oh, 5.
So what is the area there? 25. Right? Yes? Does that make sense? Okay. What is this area then?
144.
This is 144, which tells you something. We just did this. What does that tell you about the area of this guy? What does it tell you, though? Remember, A squared, 25, plus B squared, 144, is C squared. So the area of here plus the area of here is going to equal the area of here. The area. Does that make sense? So what is 144 plus 25? 169. That's the area. That doesn't tell us exactly this length, but it gives us the area. Well, what number times itself makes 169?
14.
13. Does that make sense? So, now that I've shown you that it's 13, okay, let's do this one the correct way. Let's do it like this. Not the correct way, but I'll do it the mathematical way. 5, 12, and x. Now let's use the formula. Now we're just going to use the formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What is A? When we plug things in, we always plug it in parentheses. So A is 5. So 5 in parentheses squared plus 12 in parentheses squared equals C squared. Right? Or you would put down here x squared. Do you agree? Do you all see it? Okay. What is 5 squared? Plus 12 squared? Plus 144 equals x squared. 25 plus 144 is 169 equals x squared. Now listen, is x happy?
No.
No, why not? He's being squared. Do you know, listen, this is an important concept. We learned this a little bit yesterday. What is the square root of 100 again?
10.
10. Now, why? What are we looking for here? We're looking for the number times itself that makes 100. Okay, so what if I have the square root of m squared? What number times itself makes m squared?
We don't know.
M.
Oh.
Because m times m is m squared. Does that make sense? Can't have any more Jolly Rancher. Can't have candy in my classroom. Put it away. I know it was yours. It's all right. Candy in my classroom. Again, you need to understand the concept. The square root of m squared, meaning what number times itself makes m squared? M does, right? So then here's the deal. If I want to get x alone, and I have x squared, spit it out. That'll be good. That'll make me feel better. Nice. If I want to get x alone, and he's being squared, what do? I have x squared, and I want to get him alone. How do I get him alone? Hold on, let me go back to this a second. If I have m squared and I square root it, that equals m. Right? M squared, square rooted, means m. How do I get x squared alone then? Square root it, because what's the square root of x squared? X. So watch here. You can do whatever you want to an equation, as long as you do it to both sides. Square root, square root. What's the square root of x squared again? X. What's the square root of 169?
13.
Remember, we decided that it was 13? Remember? Okay. What about this? I'm going to give you another one. 13 was the length. X was 13. That was the length of the hypotenuse, remember? So we have one leg is 5, one leg is 12. X was 13. And it should make sense. Here's something else that can help you to estimate. What side is guaranteed to be the longest on any right triangle? Not right? Right. You don't say the top. It's called the hypotenuse, right? The legs are the two shorter sides. The hypotenuse is going to be the longest side, right? Okay. Let me give you another one here. I'll make it so that it's a little weird so that we can't, we'll do it like this so that people don't get in the habit of saying the top. We'll say this is 4. We'll say this is 8. And we'll say this is m. Okay, so here's how you do the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, I'm going to show you one time, then I'm going to start letting you guys do a couple. Here we go. The first thing is so that it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, which one's a? 8, sure, or 4. Could be either one. So 8 squared plus 4 squared equals m squared. Does that make sense? That's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay. Land on the equal side. What is 8 squared? 64 plus 16, 4 times 4, equals 80. Sorry, not 80. Equals m squared. 64 plus 16 is 80 equals m squared. And now you go, okay, what do I do now? What is the rule? I got to get them by itself. I square root m squared and I square root 80. So m squared square rooted is m. And then you go to the square root of 80 and you go, oh. We already know that that is called irrational, right? It's irrational. That's fine. Couple of things. If I want to know the exact answer, hold on, we talked about this yesterday. If I want the exact answer, what is the answer to this? M equals the square root of 80. That's the exact answer. And if they don't tell you otherwise, that is the answer. If they don't give you any instructions as to how best to answer it, your answer is the square root of 80. They may say round to the nearest whole number. If you round to the nearest whole number, what is the square? 81 is not an answer.
Oh, 9.
It would be 9. Because 9 times 9 is 81, right? So the square root of 81 is 9. So then what do we know is true about this? We know this number is going to be between 8 and 9. Right? We know it's a little less than 9 because if this was the square root of 81, that would be 9. So it's just slightly less than that. So you could say it's probably 8.9. Does that make sense? They may have you round to the nearest tenth. That's probably what they're going to do. So then get your calculators out and type in square root of 80 and tell me what it comes out to. Square root of 80, if they say round to the nearest tenth, which is probably what they're going to do.
8.9.
8.9. Does that make sense? And so then you go up here and you go, now look, this is important. So m becomes 8.9. Does that make sense? Does it look like that's about true? If that's 4 and that's 8, then this one needs to be the biggest one, the longest one, right? It needs to be. And does that thing look like it's just a little bit longer than this one? Yes. Yeah, I agree. You can't always let your eyes be the judge, though, because sometimes they won't be, I could have made this be, I could have made this be, I gotta go back. I could have made this be, 6. And this one here could have been, 7. Or this could have been 6.2. And I could have drawn it incorrectly, but you go with the numbers. Does that make sense? You got to go with the numbers. Anyway, you guys try one. To give you one, we'll make it be, no. Give me both. Why not? Give me the real answer and rounded. We'll call this 6. We'll call this 8. I want to know what y is. I want to know both the exact answer and I want you to round it.
To the nearest what?
10th. All right, so very quickly, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Which one's a? 6 or 8. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals y squared, right? Line of the equal sign. 36 plus 64 equals
100.
Equals what?
Y squared.
Y squared. And then you go 100 equals y squared. What do I do to get y by himself? Square root, y equals 10. That was an easy one. Right? Right? It's just 10. Don't leave it as a square root of 100 if it can be simplified to 10. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm going to show you one more thing. Actually, there's two more. One I'm going to show you is this. Sometimes they're going to give you a triangle. The other thing the Pythagorean theorem can do is that if you have a right triangle, you can figure out one of the sides. If you have a triangle and you're not sure if it's a right triangle, you can figure out if it's a right triangle by using the Pythagorean theorem. For example, if I gave you a triangle, and I'll do it like kind of a weird, and you go, hold on, is that a right angle? The answer is, I don't know. If I don't put that, then you can't tell. Does that make sense? So I might be able to go like this, 10, 24, and 10, 26, and 24. Big numbers. What you can do is you plug it in. You plug it in into the Pythagorean theorem and see if it ends up being true. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then that will tell you whether or not it's a right triangle. Now here's the deal. What do we know is true about the two legs?
They're shorter than 20.
They would be the shortest one. It will be the shortest ones, right? The longest side will be the hypotenuse. If this is a right triangle, then the longest side is the hypotenuse and the two shorter sides are the legs. Agreed? So then just plug it in. 10 squared plus 24 squared equals 26 squared. Yes? Right? Isn't that what it would be? 100 plus, what's 24 squared? What's 24 times 24? What is it? 576. What is 26 squared?
676.
676. 100 plus 576 is 676 equals 676. Does 676 equal 676? Therefore, since it does come out to be true, that means this is a right triangle. Let me give you another one. This time I'm not even going to draw it. I'm going to tell you that the sides are 5, 6, and 7. Those are the sides. You, right now, use the Pythagorean theorem to tell me whether or not the triangle that has sides of 5, 6, and 7 is a right triangle. Hold on. So here we go. You're watching now. It goes like this. What two sides have to be the legs? 5 and 6. So we're going to go 5 squared plus 6 squared equals 7 squared. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. And 7 squared is 49. 25 plus 36 is 61. Does 61 equal 49? No. Therefore, listen, this is a triangle. That's no question. It's just not a right triangle. Does that make sense? Last thing I'm going to show you is this. What happens if I give you my right triangle? This time I have this be 10, and this I have is 8, and I want to know what one of the legs are. Do you understand what I'm saying? What am I going to use to solve this? The Pythagorean theorem. Instead, so which one were we going to put as A? 8. 8 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. That's the hypotenuse. Oh, okay. 8 squared is 64 plus x squared equals 100. Right? Now, I've got to get x alone. What's the next thing I do? Minus 64 minus 64. X squared equals 36. Square root, x equals 6. Which makes x equals 6 over here. Does that make sense? So you just have to know legs are the small ones. The long one's the hypotenuse. A squared, but you got it. Okay. Let me give you your homework. You guys will get 15 minutes to work on it. Page 587, 1 through 8. I'm going to do all, and 12 through 17. Let me look again. All.